to celebrate and remember a woman whose life reflected the teachings of Christ, especially the Beatitudes. Through her love, her faith, her service, and her joy, she lived these blessings out loud. Today we honor her through the voices of those who loved her dearly.
Blessed are the poor in spirit. I am Giselle, granddaughter of Irma, and these are my shared memories. Mom was a praying woman, a woman of deep and unwavering faith. That faith was her foundation, and she made sure it became ours too. She instilled it in all her children and grandchildren, always reminding us to trust God no matter what life brings. I can still hear her voice encouraging me, lifting me up, pointing me back to faith every single time. I will miss her voice. I can still hear her saying, "Z, what you doing good with yourself?" Before I could even answer, she'd follow with, "And how is my Irvin?" which is my husband. That was how she was, always caring, always making sure everyone was all right. She had this beautiful way of making me feel like I was the only grandchild. And I know I'm not the only one who felt that way. Every one of us did. That's just the kind of grandmother she was, loving, attentive, and full of warmth that made each one of us feel uniquely special. I will never be able to hear a parang song without picturing her dancing in the kitchen, cooking up something delicious, holding her skirt as she moved to the rhythm with that joyful sparkle in her eye. She filled our lives with love, laughter, faith, and song. Although we will miss her deeply, her spirit, her faith, her joy, her love will always live in us. Best grandmother ever.
Blessed are those who mourn, and those who hunger and thirst. Shared Memories by Louise, daughter. Mom lived generosity in a way that transformed everyone around her. Anyone who needed help, a place to stay, a family to belong to, found it with her. Jean Jeremiah, Pastora Sedeno and her family, Shirley Hines, even uncle's children when difficult times came. She opened her home, the whole house, so 16 of us could live as one family. Her hospitality became one of the greatest family traits, passed on from her straight into us. And when one of us was sick, she stayed right there, sometimes 7 to 10 days, until we were well. That was a kind of love you will never forget.
Blessed are the pure in heart. Shared Memories from Joanna, her granddaughter. Mom taught us simple, beautiful things, like how to make sago and how to wash clothes by hand. Daniel, Mom, and I would take trips to the mall, and I had to keep telling them, "Stop that loud giggling in the back seat." They were like two mischievous schoolgirls, and their laughter always pulled me in too. Mom was fashionable, talented, creative, and always had a story ready. Stories that were funny, wise, serious, and comforting all at once. She lived with a purity of heart that made every moment with her feel special.
Blessed are the peacemakers. Shared Memories by Diane, daughter, and Shalicia, granddaughter. To her daughter Diane, Mom was more than a mother. She was the best friend she ever had. A friend she could talk to about anything. A steady voice of honest advice. Her home was always clean, organized, and welcoming. On weekends, she would inspect drawers, and if they passed her standards, a small reward followed, money and a special treat. If you walk into any of our homes, you will see her influence in every corner. I miss you so much, Mom. Gone, but never forgotten. And to her granddaughter, Shalicia, she was full of imagination and fun. Her little yellow Volkswagen license plate ended with 815, nicknamed "8", was legendary. She would take the children for drives, filling their childhood with adventure. Once she told them, "Before I pick you up, I will make a pool in the back of the car so you can bathe while we drive." To a child who loved water, that was magical. Those memories remain close to our hearts. Love you, Mom. Miss you always.
Blessed are the merciful. Shared Memories by Maureen, daughter. Our mother was the embodiment of mercy, steadfast, nurturing, and endlessly giving. Mom was a beautiful woman who loved life, and she poured that love into all her children with a devotion that never wavered. She lived, loved, worked, and sacrificed so that we could have comfort, joy, and hope. She always found ways and means to ensure that her children were fed, safe, and cared for. I remembered being awakened late at night by the smell of barbecue chicken she brought home. Like a mother bird returning to her nest, her sole mission, the survival and happiness of her babies. And the candy with the edible paper. These were simple gifts that made us feel seen and loved. I can still hear her voice saying, "Louise, go and make a cup of tea for Maureen." Those words were like music to my ears, because to her, every single one of us mattered. Mom walked through her own fire and emerged mentally strong, physically determined, and yet emotionally delicate, carrying a heart filled with hidden, tender love. Her love was so fierce that she would have laid down her life for her children. That is mercy. That is motherhood in its purest form. Mom was enough, just as God made her, our mom. And if you turn the word mom upside down, what do you get? Wow.
Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness. Shared Memories by me, Anissa, granddaughter. I am the oldest grandchild, and I took that to heart. I always sought out my grandmother's attention, and she gladly gave it to me. I remember when I was around 13 going through a rough patch, my grandmother told me the only way to rise above my situation was through education. She reminded me of my uncle Lionel's achievements in his studies and spoke about the opportunities that come with studying abroad. That conversation changed me. I began focusing on my schoolwork, studying by candlelight when there was no electricity, and pushing through long hours when the work felt difficult. Since then, I have been a lifelong learner. Along with God's guidance, my focus on education and learning has carried me through many challenging times. I also remember her small acts of love. When she found out that other students were teasing me in Standard 2 and calling me bacon bygone, she quietly swapped out my lunch so I wouldn't feel embarrassed. When I was teased about my hair and appearance in third form, She cut and straightened my hair despite my mother's objections, just to help me feel confident again. She was my always go-to person, the one who understood me when it seemed that no one else quite did.
Through each beatitude, through each story, through each voice today, we see the full picture of who Mom was. She was blessed. She was faithful, generous, joyful, strong, and loving. A woman whose life was a blessing to everyone she touched.
We will miss her deeply, but her faith, her lessons, her humor, her kindness, and her love will live on in each of us.
Mom, thank you for your life, your love, and your legacy. Gone from our sight, but never from our hearts.